everyone, it's Sherry with the CGH Health Foundation, and I'm back with another What's Cooking CGH video and recipe for you. Today I'm going to be using pumpkin to make soup, and I know that most of us don't tend to think of using pumpkin in savory dishes. We eat pumpkin in sweet things like donuts and pumpkin bread and pumpkin pie, but I think that it's very good in savory dishes. I enjoy pumpkin ravioli, I've seen pumpkin enchiladas and pumpkin chili, and the flavor of pumpkin seems to do really well with those warm, spicy kind of spices as well. I'm going to get started making my soup, and then I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about pumpkin. This is just a few easy ingredients, not real complicated. Most of them you probably have at home, and we all tend to have a can or two of pumpkin in the pantry at this time of year, at least I do. I put it in my oatmeal even at this time of year. The recipe starts off with, the way a lot of soup recipes start off, with a little bit of onion. And you could use some olive oil. I'm going to use just a splash of broth in my pan here. Ooh, I mean, it did. Just a splash to steam up there. And I have about a half a cup of diced onion. And I've got it diced really fine so that I don't have any big chunks in my soup. So I'm going to add it to my pan, and it'll probably take maybe 3 or 4 minutes to cook down. I'm also going to add 3 cloves of garlic, which again, I have put through my garlic press, so it is minced very, very fine. That is going to go in there too. And like I said, 3 to 5 minutes, we're going to let that cook away until the onion gets really soft and you can smell that garlic and onion. So let me tell you a little bit more about pumpkin. You know, I am usually one for telling you to use less processed foods, so start with the whole food, etc. But when it comes to canned pumpkin, this would be one that I would make a big exception for. Pumpkin is got a lot of very healthy ingredients. It has a lot of things that are really good for us. For one thing, it's very low in calories, so a serving of pumpkin is only about 45 calories, and in fact this can, the whole can, only has about 150 calories. And you really just have to read the can to get an idea of how good the nutrition is. So in addition to being very low in calories, you're getting some fiber from the pumpkin. It doesn't have any added sugar, of course, because you're going to buy just the solid pumpkin puree, not the pumpkin pie filling. There's a little bit of calcium, there's a little bit of iron, good amount of potassium, but where pumpkin really shines is in its vitamin A content. And so a serving of pumpkin, and that would be just about a half a cup of pumpkin, has 100% of your vitamin A for a whole day. So it is chock full of nutrients. And vitamin A is important for us. It helps to preserve our eyesight, especially our night vision. It helps to lower our cancer risk for certain cancers. It helps to support our immune system. It's good for our skin. It's good for our bone health. And I always recommend that you get your nutrition from food. And this is a good example. Vitamin A is a fat-soluble vitamin, means that it gets stored in your body and can stay there. And so if you take massive amounts of a vitamin A supplement, you could get toxic amounts of it in your system. I recommend canned pumpkin. Like I said, I always have a couple of cans in my pantry. Okay, so I can smell the garlic in here, so I know that that is getting to about where it needs to. I'm going to put another splash of vegetable broth in there. And the next step in this recipe, and I do this with a lot of soups and stews, etc., is that I'm going to add the spices in with the onions and the garlic in the pan, and I'm just going to let them toast a little bit. That cooking and that warming up with the liquid and the onions kind of helps the spice flavors to kind of bloom a little bit. And so we're going to go ahead and put the spices in. And what I have is about 3/4 teaspoon of thyme. And thyme as an herb goes really well with things like pumpkin and butternut squash. So I have that in there. I've got about a half a teaspoon of cumin. And again, there's that warm kind of spice. It's one of my favorite spices. I have just about 1/8 of a teaspoon of ginger, ground dried ginger. And that is going to add another kind of bite or warmth in the back of the soup, you know, when you eat it. A little bit of black pepper. I started off with about 1/8 a teaspoon. You could do a little more if you happen to really like black pepper. I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle it on top of the onions and give them a stir. You can already smell that. I smell that cumin right away. Okay, give that just a minute. And it's bubbling away. So the next ingredient is going to be the pumpkin, and adding the pumpkin here and letting it cook for just a few minutes helps to concentrate the flavor a little bit. Doesn't get caramelized, but it does mix with the spices, and so this is a good time to add it. I'm going to stir all of that together, the pumpkin, the onions, the garlic, and the spices. And we want that to cook down just a little bit. So I'm going to set my timer for 5 minutes, and I won't make you stand and watch me. We'll get back to you in about 5 minutes and finish off the recipe. Okay, here we are 5 minutes later, and the pumpkin has been cooking along with the spices and the onion and the garlic. It's steaming away, and my kitchen smells wonderful. And so at this point, this is where we're going to add some vegetable broth and turn it into more of a soup. I've got 2 cups of vegetable broth, and I'll go ahead and stir that in here. And after you've added the cold vegetable broth, you're going to want to bring it up to a simmer again. That's going to take about 5 minutes. And at the very end, just before it's ready to serve, I am going to stir in just about a tablespoon of maple syrup. And again, this is not that sweet pumpkin spice kind of stuff. It just gives that little bit of sweet in the flavor of the soup. It's going to be delicious. And we don't have to wait for this to finish, because I did make some soup earlier, and so I have my little serving of pumpkin soup. I like to top this off, so if you're one of those people that likes to put crunchy things or garnishes on your soup, I think that just a little dollop of some Greek yogurt or sour cream, if you want to do sour cream. And the other thing that I think goes really well with this are pumpkin seeds. So I've got some roasted pumpkin seeds here, and I'm going to use them kind of as a crouton. I'm just going to sprinkle them on the top a little bit. Doesn't that look good? And let's give it a taste. I'm going to mix that yogurt in. Makes the soup really creamy, and it gives a little bit of a tang, kind of sourish taste in the back that's really good. Let's give it a taste. Oh, that is really good. Perfect for a fall day. For this recipe and all of our recipes, go to whatscookingcgh.com. That's my blog, or you can find them on our YouTube channel. And I hope you try it out. Let me know what you think.